I think today you were interested in learning a little bit about the commercial takeoff in the app.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I've basically been charged with coming up with a commercial playbook that we can use for our franchisees.
Okay.
And Chris let me know about you, and I did my own research on FSS, and it looks like you guys, offer a really great service. And I'm just looking to kind of learn a little bit more about what it is you guys do and where you could fit into the franchisees that are looking to get more into commercial work. Um, yeah, that's basically what I was looking to get out of this call. And I have some questions for you, but I can wait for those until whenever they pop up or the end, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, or we can do them in the beginning, and that'll help me kind of guide the information for you as well.
I mean, a lot of it just has to do with pricing that you guys offer, any sort of contracts that may come along with working with you guys. Um, and then also some, just general stuff like the processes, but behind what the actual product looks like once you guys are finished and you deliver it to the franchisee.
Okay.
Um, and then how the partnership would actually work with who would we go to with any questions or anything like that, who would be our main point of contact, is there a customer service, and just other stuff like that.
Okay. Sounds like most of those are probably geared towards the commercial takeoff
Yeah,
piece of the
for
business.
sure.
So let me jump down and kind of go straight into the commercial takeoff stuff.
Okay.
Um, so on the commercial takeoff services, so this is actually a job that we just did for Bumblebee Blinds 8 days ago.
Awesome.
So this was Matt Richardson, maybe one
Yeah.
of your newest guys.
Yeah.
So
And Gastonia. Yeah.
he had a 400 unit apartment building fall in his lap
He did.
and didn't even know what to do with it. So he sent it to us. We did the full takeoff for him. He had 1,001 windows on this job. Basically, so our process, we've got a portal. I think I actually had the portal open here. So we show active clients who we're doing jobs for in these portals. So I think we still have Matt's job. No, we already cleared his last job. So when we do a job for someone, this portal, each project gets a name. They have an input folder. All they do is just drag all the files and put them there. And we'll open it, we go through them, and then we issue a quote inside this portal. And so they get to see what we think it's going to take. It's an estimate, a ballpark, and then they accept the quote, we go to work. And then we do the full takeoff, and processing that takeoff, we, in this case, I think he had like 700 pages that he gave us for this takeoff. We estimated 6 hours. It ended up taking us 10 hours, and we met him in the middle for 8 hours for billing since we missed the quote so much. And so he paid, what does that come out to be, like $360. And he told us that he was going to be bidding this somewhere around 190,000. He was given pricing from the previous person that won it. I guess he knows the general contractor. And so even if he wins that job, hopefully that $360 is a good investment for him to go and bid it. Otherwise, he would have done nothing with it. So we, normal takeoff process, we step through every single page. We find all the windows. One of the things that we do that I think is a little unique to us, and I didn't give you my background yet, actually, so maybe I'm going to bounce back for 2 seconds and find a slide. So in 2021, my wife and I bought 2 franchises with Gotcha Covered. So we got into the window treatment space in 21. We only intended to buy 1, and then we bought 2 3 months later, and then we doubled in franchise. So we had 4 territories by month 7. And so we ended up having this massive kind of organization. I never went in to run the business. So my wife was running one of the franchises. My sister was running the other franchise. My entire background is in corporate leadership, engineering, technology. I still have a full-time job with a publicly traded company called Flowserve. So I'm the head of engineering for about a $4 billion business within. And I actually live in Germany for that role. And so they came to me with all their problems. And so I helped them build their backends, their systems. I pulled some of the guys who used to work for me in the corporate world, kind of help them organize and run the business. And overwhelmingly, just time after time again, I found problems that they were having with measuring and mistakes from measuring. And, doing simple math, an average franchise is doing 43,000 measurements a year. And those measurements lead to rebates between $200 and $10,000 based on this. So we got in to doing commercial takeoffs for myself because my entire background is engineering. I looked at a bunch of commercial takeoff stuff and we go, this is easy. This is just a whole bunch of drawings that need to go into a CAD system and measure it. So I went and got one of my old engineers and said, hey, you want to earn some money on the side? Why don't you come work for me? And he went from, being a professional engineer in his role, and he started doing commercial takeoffs for us. And then as we started bidding stuff and doing it really well, other franchises and Got You Covered started coming, hey, Nathan, can y'all help us with the takeoff? Hey, Nathan, can you help us with this? And so I just started kind of like adding people. And then it turned into what it is today. Simultaneously, the app that we have, we set out to make it for ourselves. I had no intention of commercializing it, but I looked at all the repeat mistakes that was happening in our businesses, and mistakes are wonderful as long as you only make them once, you learn from them, you fix your process, and you move on. And so as we made the app, everyone in our franchise wanted a copy of it, and then it just kind of snowballed. So both the app and the commercial takeoffs were originally things we just made for ourselves. So we are not a large commercial takeoff house. I mean, there's, you can Google commercial takeoff and find 100 companies that do it, and they do paint and flooring and all these things. All we do is window treatments, just for retailers. Because that, we also do two sets of special things that make us different from maybe a normal takeoff person. So every time we look at an opening, we do two sets of takeoffs. So I do one for the total span and one in between the mullions. Because we don't know the product that you're going to end up choosing to go, we want you to have the flexibility. So when we give it a takeoff, you'll get an overall width. So we'll do a span count 45. So you can see this one span count 45, one overall width of 112. And then we think that you'll do two shades with individual mullion, and then we give those widths and heights. But if you have a manufacturer in that case that, 120 inches is usually your threshold of a product you can put there. So if it's under 120 and you choose to do one shade versus this one at 208, you're definitely splitting it up. So we take off all the measurements in two different ways, letting each of our retailers have the full flexibility to come back and choose what dimensions and what shades they're going to put into that. We also do two sets of counts. Now, some people would say, but doesn't this take you longer? Yes, it does. But would you rather it being right the first time so you don't lose money on missing a window on a bid and pay an extra $80? So I think it's unequivocally, this is just part of our inherent process. So we do one commercial takeoff only on plan views, and then we do another commercial takeoff only on the elevation views. And one of the things that we find is the mistakes from general contractors. We probably, every third job, we probably find something that they did wrong on their prints from the dual takeoff. And then we highlight it in red on the takeoff sheet, and you get to go back and see clarity on that before you bid it, so you don't, make any assumptions and lose it. When we look at our overall process, so our work instructions of how we teach our engineers for doing commercial takeoffs, we have a 150-page work instruction that every one of them learns. We have an internal training program of about 12 programs that we found. Every time we do a new project that's like a crazy curveball oddity, that goes into our learning program. They all have to do those and kind of get through them before they work for us. We've got two different sets of workflows. We have a quality checklist that we go through and check all of our jobs against to make sure it was done right. And a future state. So this is actually the output that went to Matt last week. His was a little bit different. So sometimes you'll get a big spreadsheet that looks like this. This is, I'll say, a lot of commercial buildings where you have window walls and you're doing a bunch of metal mullions and shade count in between those, where his job was apartment buildings. Everything was a single window, one size, right? Very clean residential. So when you do that kind of a takeoff, this is what you get. So he gets one summary of every type of product and shade, total count by size. So he basically needs to go now and work up a quote for like 15 different lines of product at those quantities. Should be fairly straightforward. We deliver this in Excel so that people can build their quote on the side of it if they want to. We have one customer only that has given us their quoting template, and they like us to do the takeoff into their template for them. Most people, we just give them either this format or this format. And then
So
they,
question about that actually. Do you guys offer any integration with other quoting softwares like Solitech or anything like that? Or is it just this Excel sheet?
our app is integrated, the measuring app is integrated with Solitech.
Yeah.
Our commercial takeoffs have not been integrated with anybody yet. Based on my relationship with Ray, if we wanted to approach a way to make that, we could make a CRM or a CPQ importable Excel file very easy. So all Ray would need to do for us is to define how he wants the data structured for it to be imported in so they can basically pull it out and segment it into lines for quoting. We could do that very, very quick.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me write that down. I talk with Ray almost every other day, so I'll ping him about that. I can't remember. Did you guys sign up? Are y'all using Solitech?
Yeah. Both Levi's is all set up on Solitech.
Awesome. Okay. So that's kind of the overview of the process. There's one thing that I'll show you. This is not live, and we're probably somewhere around 4 to 6 months until this feature is ready. But we have a goal in our future state of our app that we're making a commercial version of the app for folks that are doing commercial jobs. So in Matt's scenario, he has 1,001 windows. When you go through that job, he has them broken down by buildings. So I think he had, I don't remember the building count here. Let's call it 11 buildings. Inside of each building, there's 3 floors and there's apartment names. And then underneath each apartment number, you've got a kitchen, a living room, 2 bedrooms, bathroom, etc. And so one of the things that we're going to have in our commercial version of our app, if you do the commercial takeoff with us and you want to use the commercial app, we'll offer like an integration for a fee. I don't know what that'll look like yet, but basically my staff will come behind the scenes and they will program in your 1,000 windows that need to be measured. We will load all of them for you, structured by building, by floor, by room number, apartment, everything there, and we'll load in the takeoff measurement. So you can see, I quoted this at 60 by 42, and here's my real measurements that I measured. And you just show up to job site and measure. Now, we just did a commercial job with one of our retailers in Nevada. He went to measure 1,400 windows. He had 7 guys, all in the app, all using our tools. They measured 1,400 windows in 3.5 hours.
That's crazy. Oh.
So our connection is to make that even easier. So when we do the takeoff, you just show up to site and everything's pre-programmed in there for you. You just open the job site and your team just takes a building and goes off and starts measuring everything, and you'll know when it's done. And we're hoping that in the commercial side, you'll see a progress bar. So if you're on a big job that you're going to be there for 2 or 3 days, you'll see what's done, what's not done, and make sure you can kind of track your progress through it. So we're really excited about that, but it's still in work. Any questions on the commercial takeoff? It's kind of high level, but
Yeah, no. Let me just look at my notes that I have over here.
pricing?
What's that?
You were asking about pricing.
Pricing, yeah.
Yeah. So we bill at $45 an hour.
Yeah.
Our average job, so I actually just pulled it for the last 6 months. Our average job was 263. So some of those are big. We did a job yesterday for someone. I think it was like $20. Like it was like 5 windows, but they just sent it to us without even looking at it. Some of our repeat customers that do a lot of business with us, they don't even open stuff anymore. They just forward it to us and we look at it. Most people, we do a quote for them. There's 2 customers that are just high volume with us. We just do the jobs no matter what. But our average takeoff is about $263. Again, that's an average, so the SKU can be larger.
Yeah.
This job with Matt was about 360 something.
Yeah. And that $45 an hour, that is for no matter what it is, no matter what size it is, no matter what product
Yep.
it may be measuring for, it's just 45 bucks across the board.
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
When we look at
Um,
it, we try to do a rough idea of the size, and we always will issue the quote in our portal so that people have an idea. Someone can give us a big job. I think the largest job we've ever done took us 24 hours of effort. Took about 4 days to get done, and it was 2,800 windows.
yeah, that's big. Is there any sort of like rush process that can be put into place, or is it just
Yeah, so on our website, we tell everyone we have $100 get in front of the line fee, which
okay?
usually just means we ask our staff to work a lot of overtime and put it at the front of the pile and get it done.
Okay.
I would say our normal lead time on average sits about 3 days. And then if you like, oh, hey, dude, this is due tomorrow. Can we get this done overnight? And guys got to work late. We'll do $100 as a rush fee.
Really? Okay. Cool. Um, no. Um, so as far as onboarding goes and, setting up an account with you guys, is there any sort of additional fees that are involved, or is it you just start paying once you have a job lined up?
Yep, no,
Gotcha.
no additional fees, nothing. You only pay us if you have a job. I mean, you could ask Matt. He just got done experiencing what it was like with us last week.
Yeah,
So if you wanted some candid feedback, I'm sure he sounded like the guy would give you candid feedback if you asked him for it. So
he is a no nonsense guy. He's hilarious.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I love Matt. He just graduated our academy like a couple months ago and is now officially in the field. And then he gets a 1,000 window job in the first month. That's wild.
that's great.
Yeah. Um,
He's
I
going to skew
saw.
all your franchise metrics.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so I saw online. I was looking at your website. You guys have like a dual review process. And I think you
Yeah,
kind of touched on it where it looks like 2 people are actually basically looking over this thing at the same time to make sure that there's no mistakes or anything like that.
absolutely. So we do 2 takeoffs first, the plan view, the elevation, and then those get compared into a pivot table. And if you look, I'll zoom in a little bit. So we have 2 checkoffs. The project engineer who spends, the whole time doing it, and then what we call the quality assurance person, who's just one of the other engineers that peer checks. So they peer check for each other. So the person that does the final check is not the person that performed it, because usually you just spend 6 hours staring at those drawings and everything just looks the same. You get a
Yeah,
fresh set of eyes. Their first thing that they do is they compare the elevation to the plan view, but then they go through all of these items and then they look at it. So everything is peer reviewed. We've never done a job that didn't get a second set of eyes.
that's awesome. Yeah, because I mean, when I've done commercial work in the past with helping dealers, there's always been some sort of mistakes with either the quoting or the ordering. And it's a pain in the butt to have to deal with it, especially straight from the start when you're just doing the quote. So it's good that you guys have that in place. That's awesome.
In our terms and conditions, we have a statement, we're basically not liable. We
Yeah.
we do everything we can to give you the best quality we can. We think that compared to what we've seen from other people, we definitely do a amazing job. We have to date, we've been doing commercial takeoffs about 18 months for people in the public. And we've never had someone, I'll knock on wood, we have not had anyone come back to us and say, Nathan, this job missed $10,000 because this.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it won't come in the future, but my career background, 20 years of leading engineering teams, one of the most fundamental things is peer review checks and processes. And so it was just, I mean, probably overkill. We didn't go into the commercial space as like an MVP product to bring people on board until we had our process done. We even took, I mean, there was probably a 6-month period where I had two of the guys, all they did was to try out like 8 different softwares. Because I didn't, I'm not from the industry, so I wanted to find the software that was the best that fit with us. And the software that we use is Bluebeam. And probably the number one, a lot of people would say it's too complicated and it's overkill, but there's one thing that Bluebeam does that there's almost no other takeoff software that does, is that when we do the counts, you can see the way that we do these. They get these tags on them. We are able to export the counts directly out of the software into our Excels for pivot table checks. And so when we do a full count in the software from the plan view and a full count, the computer is able to export that and we compare it in a pivot table. So it even removes the human error out of checking the pivot table because no one had to transpose it. It came out of the system. And so when we looked at the other takeoff software, they would give you reports, but there wasn't anything that we could directly put into an automated check system. And so we use that.
Cool. Okay. So when you are, so say I'm a franchisee, I just got this call saying I need to quote 1,000 windows. What exactly are you looking for in order to start the process?
Just an email. I mean, once someone emails us and says, Nathan, I've got a job, we set them up in the portal. They get an invitation to log in. Once they make their first account, they should bookmark it. And then they'll have their own login to the portal. And then from that point on, everything is there. They'll submit their jobs there whenever they have a new folder. They'll get their quotes. They'll pay their invoices there. When we finish the takeoff, we load the finished PDFs, the Excel sheets. If there's an additional PDF of specs that we pulled out for them, there will be those 3 files, and they all go into the portal. When they log in to pay their invoice, as soon as the invoice is paid, the files become unlocked and they're downloadable. So even if we're off site and off hours, the second they pay it, the files are available. They're never waiting for someone to email them.
Okay. Awesome. As far as, I don't want to call it customer service, but I guess I'll call it that. If someone has a question, how exactly would that question be answered? Like, do you guys have a main cell phone number that someone could call into, or email, or how would that work?
The phone number is just my phone number. Myself and our project manager, Dinesh, we run point on everything. Email's the best. You can ask Matt how he experienced. I mean, we're pretty quick. And so, but yeah, we're not a huge company, and so Dinesh is our project manager and oversees the team doing the takeoffs, and so the regular back and forth is with him, minus the few hours a night he sleeps. He probably has his phone with him all day. All right, so
okay, yeah, no, I think that answers most of my questions. And I have your email if anything else comes up. Is there anything else you wanted to cover with me?
I think the measuring app is
Yeah,
definitely something that I'd like to with you.
for sure.
So this is actually how Chris and I met each other at IWCE.
Yeah.
And so I had a slide